And now I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar on orientation and onboarding for new employees. I'd like to introduce our featured presenter today, Ms. Susan Anderson. Ms. Anderson has extensive experience as corporate counsel in the construction, value-added agriculture, and renewable fuels industries, as well as the hospitality industry. She has served as General Counsel for Fagan Incorporated and Associate General Counsel and VP of Legal Services for publicly traded corporations in the broadband, interactive services, and energy industries. Susan has extensive legal and operational experience in corporate governance and compliance, equity and debt financing, human resource management and training, environmental, real estate, energy, and regulatory areas of law. She also has government affairs experience as a registered lobbyist and media relations liaison. Additionally, Susan is an adjunct professor at the University of South Dakota Beacom School of Business and Leadership Professional Development workshop facilitator throughout the United States. We are very excited to have her join us today and speak on behalf of New Horizons. Susan, you now have the floor.
Well, thank you so much for that great introduction, and thank you everyone for taking the time to spend the next hour with me as we discuss some best practices and ideas for orientation and onboarding our new employees. You never get a second chance to make a good first impression. We look at, and this has probably happened to many of you too. You've gone through the process of, a new one, getting those interviews, the first, second, third interview, going through the references, and you get that job. You get that offer, you do the happy cat dance, and then you go, what's your first day going to be like? You show up, and nobody knows you're supposed to be there. You get shown to a conference room, maybe there's some papers there, but you sit and no one is excited to welcome you. So that first impression for that new employee really has, hit a thud. And we want our new hires to be excited. We want them to be an essential part of the life cycle of the organization. We welcome them. We want to have their role to be a long-term asset to our company. So if organizations focus their efforts on getting new employees excited and engaged about their work and organization, they will want to stay long-term. It's just good business sense because we're making such an investment of hiring employees, getting them onboarded, and we want them to become productive and to quickly start contributing to the organization's goals. So onboarding is a process. Orientation is just one event, just one step in that overall process. Onboarding is comprehensive. It's not just the first day, the first week, but consider it probably the first 90 days or the first 6 months if they're on a probationary status as an employee. It's not just filling out the I-9 form, bringing the ID, and other HR paperwork. It's much more than that. It's those first weeks and months on the job that are critical in shaping how the new employee feels about his or her role in that organization. It's not just hiring another body to fill a job position. You're looking for a long-term positive relationship, between the organization and that person. So as we get into this, we want to make this process smooth, successful, and also fun along the way. We want onboarding to convey the organizational brand, its values, explain how, your people, the culture of how you want to convey for internal and also how you want to convey that to your external customers and other stakeholders. Onboarding also aligns expectations, what that organization expects for that new employee, what is performance parameters, and it provides tools for the employee to be successful in his or her position, to ramp up quicker. We have to be patient because it does take time. So how do you start this, that first impression? Keep those first day jitters calm. The first day in the week can be very intimidating. It's a whole new environment. Will people like me? How will I fit in? What's the culture like? So you want to start that process before they actually show up for that first orientation day. Send them a note. Send them a note to welcome them, welcome them to the team, that you're excited that they're joining that organization. Start instilling that sense of belonging before they, physically step foot as part of the organization. Also, maybe within the note, have an itinerary. Confirm their schedule, what their job duties, maybe a call, confirm when the start date is, the time, the place, where they're going to park, what are the transportation areas that they need to get to and from that place, what's the dress code, just some of those things that kind of sets those jitters at bay. Identify what computer needs they have so you can have those tools ready when they arrive. Also, have names of onboarding contacts, who from HR, who from IT, who is the supervisor, and maybe a buddy. And I'll talk about an idea of having a buddy into this presentation. Also remind that new employee, to bring the relevant identification that's required, the passport, driver's license, birth certificate things. And also a good idea in this packet, and maybe in the call, is like a calendar of the first couple weeks. What are some regularly scheduled team meetings or staff meetings? What does that first week look like for them? How do you plan maybe their first project or assignment? So, how we have always heard it takes a village to raise a child? Well, it takes a whole organization to get new employees integrated and on their way to success. It's a way to build positive relationships, create goodwill, get them socialized. Feel socially accepted is the key for a new employee to feel successful. How do I fit in? We spend most of our waking hours in our adult life working. Okay, having friends in that organization contributes to happiness at work. Also, for the whole organization, send an email announcement to the whole team, saying this is the person coming in, this is their start date, this is what role they'll be playing, what's their bio, what have they done in the past, what do they like to do, create some things that people can talk to them about when they meet them. Consider selecting a mentor. And this is a good way to get them socialized. This is what I call that buddy. And for each new employee, it probably should be someone who is a seasoned person within the organization. It's a point person where that new employee can ask questions, preferably from the same department, the same area. They can express concerns. It's a person they can go to, other than maybe their supervisor. A successful mentor, like I said, is seasoned. They understand the organization's practices, their culture, their processes, systems. They understand and can convey to a new employee to answer those questions. Also, this mentor, this buddy, should be friendly, should be able to have high performance standards, positive attitude, communicates well, kind of a cheerleader for the organization. And job shadowing also allows the new employee to see how his or her role fits into the big picture as well. And this buddy is a chance for them to show their leadership skills, so that they can advance for their own position as well. So, pre-boarding. All right, we're getting them going. We're setting up the new employee's work environment in advance. Have their space ready. Have that computer and logins and everything ready. Here are some ideas of maybe a welcome packet or some gifts to have available for them in their space. Like I said, a welcome letter. The mission statement, the values of the organization. So you're setting that cultural expectation for how they are going to become a valuable part of that organization. Their job description. Contact lists are so important. What are phone numbers, email addresses? When they say, call such and such, they have that access to those contact lists. You know, maybe maps, if it's a large physical environment, maps of the buildings, you know, parking, transportation information, access to those things. If you have a parking ramp, you have keys, you have information, you have that already. Also, a list of the department or team information, an org chart, employee handbook, you know, to give them those tools that they can refer to later. Calendars of events, you know, that so they can see what's happening. Are we having regularly scheduled meetings? Are there company-wide functions that are going to be coming up so they can plan for their future too? And always, you know, brand your employee. Give them company branded swag. You know, the coffee cup, the t-shirt, the pens, the pencils, you know, they're your best asset to show off the best things about the culture of your organization. Also, another item that I thought of too, it seems like every organization has their own speak, sort of, you know, they use acronyms that are of their own culture, phrases that are used within the organization. Maybe you have a list of them if you have acronyms that are used within the organization so that they can learn when people are, you know, just using those words and phrases that mean something within that organization. Have that technology set up, the computer, the tablet, the printer, the phone, software. Have all of the email and access things done in advance so that they can feel that they're hitting the ground running instead of waiting and, you know, waiting for technology to arrive. You know, order office work area keys, access things, business cards, nameplates, all of that, have that pre-done. And also have training sessions already arranged so that the new employee can have that and know that as part of their calendar of when they're going to these training sessions and what they need for success. So that first day, we've talked about, you know, what we can do in advance so that they hit that first day and they're impressed when they walk in, they're greeted, they're welcomed, and keeps those jitters down. Make it memorable, make it fun. Create that first or second week agenda, you know, so they know what's expected of them. The benefits, they won't be left wondering what to do next. It gives the right impression that the organization also knows what it's doing. And block off time for orientation. You know, you don't want the new employee to feel disoriented and nervous. And sometimes this first day can feel like just a data dump. Or the day of paperwork, a day of watching films, movies, you know, switch it up, change it up, you know, create some movement, create some energy so they're just not sitting in one place all day long. Tours, you know, get them moving, you know, where are they going to have their desk? You know, where's their office, their cubicle? Where are the restrooms? Where are the break areas? In South Dakota, we worry about, you know, with weather. Where do I put my coat? You know, where are these areas? Where's the copier? How do I use the copier? Where are my mailboxes? Is mail delivered to me, or do you have to go and get it? How, you know, just how those kind of mechanics operate. Where do I get supplies? You know, and have supplies in their work area already, but where do you get, you know, extra pens, pencils, Post-it notes, things like that. And as you're going along the tour, always introduce them along the way. When they see people in the hall, introduce them, you know, to other employees, and also encourage questions as you tour around, you know, answer those questions. Other things you can do is have icebreakers. You know, if you have a whole group of this orientation first day, have one-to-ones, you know, where they have to interview another person and actually introduce them. You know, it creates things that maybe they have in common. Create a scavenger hunt. I know at one location at a resort, we would take new employees on a tour of the resort, and and then have a scavenger hunt, or also we did a kind of a fill in the blank, and the one who got the most right answers got a great prize for that day. It engages them. They're paying attention when you do some of those fun things. Also, have your team, the team of this new employee, take them to lunch, or just, to get to know each other, to break that ice, and have the organization pay for it. Sometimes I've seen where companies, you have to pay your own, but have the organization pay for it. It's a small price to pay. So that first day, you want to make it memorable. You want some action. You want to create excitement, because they're going to go home, and what's the common question? How was your first day? And you want them to answer it as positive, excited, and ready, and wanting to go and continue on with that organization. So also about orientation sessions, you just don't want it to be a data dump. And also consider having cross-departmental onboarding team. HR knows compliance, the documentation needed that they must have for the files on that employee, for the benefit programs, things like that. IT, they know how to get the equipment up and running, get the people on the systems, the software they needed, to give them the little tips of, the logins and what things need to be done, what codes they need for, copiers and things like that. Also, co-workers, include them, because the day-to-day culture, what is a day in the life? Have them explain to new employees, a day in the life for me is like this, and have somebody else share their typical day in the life of that organization. And also management, and upper management, the organization's mission, its values, its culture. And another benefit of having kind of this cross-departmental onboarding team, this new employee is going to be working with other departments in the future. So having a familiar face of a new department also makes, for a smoother transition to be up and running. At your orientation sessions, and mix these throughout maybe the week if you have that opportunity to kind of extend out orientation from just one day. Explain those policies and procedures. What is vacation? How much in advance do I have to ask for a vacation time, sick time, overtime? How are holidays? What are the holidays, for that organization? What is flex time? And also, you want to cover those policies that, that everyone needs to know, that you do not allow any harassment of any type or any retaliation. Acceptable use of technology. What is acceptable, what is not acceptable use of technology. Safety and emergency information. Part of the tour also is, where are storm shelters? If there is an emergency, where do you go? What are the exits you take? Where do people gather for those emergencies? Those things need to be covered. Also, have them meet with their immediate manager that, first time. Share so that a manager can welcome them, share management style, explain expectations, provide an overview of the functional area, what's the purpose of that area, how it fits in the organizational structure, what are the goals of that department, that area that new employee is going to be working in, and also reviewed the job description again, duties, expectations, answer questions. And also that executive team member, if you have someone from the executive team welcome them, that top-down excitement. And if they're not available, have videos already prepared so that the executive team can extend that welcome. So we've gotten through kind of, that orientation, the required paperwork, some of those things. But the first week, and like I said, give them a schedule of the first couple weeks so they know what is expected of them after day one. where they will be, what training goes on, where are they going to be shadowing, who their buddy is going to be. You know, that first week, help them. You know, after the excitement of that first day, help them to adjust and learn what is expected of them, how they're going to fit in, how they, you know, will assimilate the culture. Set expectations. Setting defined and realistic expectations from the beginning, you know, helps everyone along the way. And communicate. I can't stress enough how much to communicate. And again, because, you know, the new jitters, nerves of starting something new, you know, prepare them for what's to come. Also check technology. You know, make sure the employee has full functioning technology and systems and understands how to use them. You know, how to log on. Did you log on successfully? Here's the software you need. Any issues there? You know, make sure that that technology, they are on it and using it. And also consider a welcome event for that area where that new employee is going to work. Maybe host a breakfast or lunch or a break or even some other team building event, you know, to welcome the employee to the team, kind of more on an informal, let's get to know each other basis. Make it fun. Make, you know, that you do something, you know, to really get to know each other. Also, you know, introductions. Have the new employee do a short informal presentation about me. Who am I? You know, what do I like to do? And maybe prod them a little, you know, just say, okay, we will want you to do an informal presentation. We'll introduce you, but, you know, here are some things, you know, fun facts that we would like to share, and have the other employees share the same, you know, to kind of get to know each other, have things in common, because you're going to be working with these people, hopefully for the long term. Also, introduce the new employee to key people. You know, maybe the manager should take this person to relevant meetings and events so they can see kind of behind the scenes of, you know, every week I'm in this meeting during this time, but I'll include you. This is what this is about, and then I will bring it back to the team. You know, introducing information, and also debrief that new employee, you know, after they attend initial meetings, training sessions, you know, even throughout the day, you know, how did the morning go? How did the afternoon? Any questions on this training session that you went to? Can I answer any questions? You know, and touch base with them, you know, to make sure that that communication flow is going back and forth, that all their questions are answered, that they feel comfortable. Then we get on to, you know, the first 30 to 90 days. And, you know, maybe it's a 6-month probationary period, but it's time, you know, it's training, get them assimilated. You know, it does take time to hit the ground running, you know, and you want to create a long runway for success for this new employee, because you've spent a lot of time and money advertising, interviewing, doing the background checks, you know, onboarding them with the other things. You don't want to have to go back to the drawing board, you know, to find a new employee. You want this as long-term success. And you do want them to hit the ground running, but you have to be patient. You know, it doesn't happen overnight. And, you know, there is an assimilation into the culture and the way things are. And another thing about job shadowing, and I mentioned it before, but cross-training will give the new employee a much better understanding of how the organization works, how the pieces fit together. My first job in college, out of college, I actually worked in a feed mill. Because I grew up on a farm, I knew what a corn versus a soybean versus whatever, but I was sent to the West Coast to originate ingredients to make feed, you know, for all kinds of animals. But my training, my first, I would say 3 months, I had to do every job. I had to do accounting. I had to do work with the salespeople of going out to, the dairies and the hog farms and things like that. I also had to make the feed. What an experience, though. Before I had to do all of the aspects of what it took to go out and feed these animals. And then when I was then placed into my job, how it all fit in, how all those puzzle pieces fit in together. And it was a great experience. Sometimes it was a little challenging, but truly it was a great experience. And then you truly understand what the needs of people in the other departments need from you and how it fits together. And cross-training is just a great opportunity also to get to know, the other people and create those relationships for success down the road. Also, new employees come in with fresh eyes. They have had other experiences that they're bringing into the organization. They may have some new ideas. So, and they're only new for a short time. So gain new perspectives, have them give you feedback about the organization's policies, procedures, processes, through new, fresh eyes. Gain some new perspectives. Include them in and show them that, their ideas, their questions, their perspectives are important. And, maybe some changes and ideas can happen. Invite them to share their ideas. Keep avenues for honest and open feedback important. Find out if, there is a breakdown in how the training is going, or they're frustrated in this aspect, or they're really excited about that aspect, or, gee, we could change our materials this way. How about using this? Or in my former organization, we did this and it worked very well. Take those ideas. And keep this onboarding process, the opportunity to gain some fresh perspectives. So ask for feedback, on the good, on the bad, and hopefully not the ugly, but, you want to know about that too. It makes that opportunity to make future improvements. It creates a win-win for employees and for the organization. And with this first 30 to 90 days, you have the opportunity to see how that performance of that employee is going. You have the opportunity to identify weaknesses and maybe have different training. Maybe also avert potential problems, nip it in the bud earlier versus letting it languish on, and and perhaps this person, unfortunately isn't assimilating into the culture and being, working out well. And this is your opportunity, maybe before investing too many resources down the road in an employee that maybe ultimately won't work out. But this is the opportunity to test that down the road, and give them the training and being patient and seeing if they are going to be, fitting in and being a contributor to the organization. So that is the process of onboarding. It's more than just, the first day of, my first day of filling out the paperwork. And it's, you're investing in the most important asset of an organization, and that's the people, that's the employees. And it, every organization depends on its employees, not only just for today, for the work today, but also in the future. How are we going to accomplish our goals? Who are our best resources? Our people. So training and orientation is necessary to make certain that new employees are well equipped to perform their duties, that they have some idea of, the history of that organization, how it's gotten to be where it is today, and also where is it going to be in the future. And also, onboarding is that culture, helping them identify what the corporate culture is, how to assimilate, how to fit in, how to be a productive person and successful in, retaining great employees in the future. So with that, I can be open for questions and any ideas too. Maybe there's some best practices that we could share with others as well.
All right, thank you so much, Susan. And before we get to any of your questions, I just want to point you guys to our website at newhorizons.com. There, if you click on our Center for Leadership and Development, you'll find a number of different courses that we have offered to you all. So on various topics such as the one discussed today. So please log on to newhorizons.com. And if you are not familiar with your local New Horizons, you can do a zip code search to find the center nearest you and reach out to them directly regarding any of your training needs. I also want to let you guys know that this session is being recorded. You will receive a link to view the session recording as well as a PDF of the PowerPoint presentation to review or pass on to any colleagues who were unable to join us. All right, Susan, so we do have a couple of questions. The first one is how or what would you do to alter the process for a part-time or an on-call employee?
Well, I would suggest that you have them do that orientation, do that first week, but also get them involved with, the people in their department as well, so they get to know, that people aspect, and just, stayed in there, but have them part of that first week, of getting to know different things, and, so then you can just say, yes, this is part-time, this is on call, but this is where you'll be, this is how things work. They'll have to know how the processes work and technology and people and filling in spots where they need to be as well. But also those touch points, even though they're on call, contact them and say, hey, we haven't had you working, but, you're on call when we call you. Any questions? But always keeping a touch point of communication, I would suggest is key.
Right, definitely. Then this next one we have is, do you have any tips for starting a process when your company has never had one before and there isn't a whole lot of synergy between teams?
Well, again, cross-functional teams, have someone slated, HR, IT, and you have to start somewhere and just, get the process going. And HR probably has to take the lead and, tap on the shoulders of, the cross departments and also the department where these new employees are going to start. Have them say, what do we need for your employee, to start to assimilate into that? And you got to start somewhere. So it's probably good that, you involve whatever the new areas where these new employees are going to work and get their ideas of what they need to have these employees start to work and build it that way. Definitely. But the key is to be ready for them. For that first day of excitement. You want to create excitement and you want them to be engaged in that, wanting to be a part of that organization.
Definitely. And this next question, this attendee says that they have their new employee on their first day. The manager takes them to lunch. Do you think the manager should be doing that or members of the team, and why?
I say the more the merrier. You're getting to know them, and it's a nervous situation. Here's your manager, here's your boss, and it's just this one-on-one. But if you have more people of the team together, you have more conversation flow, you have touch points of, commonality, and it also creates excitement. So I say the more the merrier. It just probably will allay some of those jitters of just being one-on-one and those pregnant pauses and just being nervous of talking to your boss.
Yeah, definitely.
And have the company pay for it, please.
Most importantly.
Exactly.
Well, that looks like it's going to wrap up our Q&A. But for the person and for actually everyone on this call that has any questions regarding the teams and that doesn't have much synergy in the company, we do also have several options for starting cross-departmental communication and team building options for courses on our website. So if anyone's interested in that, again, please visit newhorizons.com, click on our Center for Leadership and Development, and you will find all of the information you need there. So Susan, I want to thank you again for joining us and speaking on behalf of New Horizons. We always love when you come present webinars for us.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you everyone for taking the time to be on this webinar. Very grateful for that, and go out and have a great day.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you so much, everyone. That will conclude today's session. You may now log off. Have a great day.